we now have another accusation of sexual assault against President Donald Trump. So now this is a breaking story here. Former model Amy Doris has come out in an exclusive interview with The Guardian to accuse Donald Trump of sexual assault. So now this allegedly happened in 1997 at the U.S. Open tennis tournament, and that, of course, happened allegedly in September, and she was about 24 years old when this supposedly happened. So, look, I'm doing all those qualifiers because I don't know for sure when it comes in these cases, even though I'm actually quite likely to believe it. So now she alleges that Trump had accosted her outside a bathroom of his VIP box at the tournament as she and her boyfriend were guests of the president. So now I've got to warn you, this is pretty graphic, right? Her explanation of what happened, and I'm going to go into the details. So now she says, he shoved his tongue down my throat, and I was pushing him off. And that's when his grip became tighter, and his hands were very gropey, and all over my butt, breasts, my back, everything. I was in his grip, and I couldn't get out of it. I don't know what you call that when you're sticking your tongue down someone's throat. Look, gross. That's definitely what I call it. She says, I pushed it out with my teeth. I was pushing it, and I think I might have hurt his tongue. So, look, if that sounds familiar, then you probably were recalling some of the other accusations against Donald Trump that were made over the last couple of years. And so this sounds very, very similar to some of the other allegations, especially with the just, the groping, the grabbing, and the kissing. It's just, oof. All right. So now Donald Trump, through his lawyers, denied, of course, in the strongest possible terms, ever having harassed, abused, or behaved improperly toward Doris. But she says that she has evidence, which includes her ticket to the U.S. Open, of course, numerous pictures of her and Trump together over several days in New York. Now, pictures, of course, are not enough to prove what happened, but she says she has further evidence, corroborating evidence. Her account was corroborated by several people she had confided in about the incident. They include a friend in New York and Doris's mother, both of whom she called immediately after the alleged incident, as well as a therapist and friends she spoke to in the years since. All said Doris had shared with them the details of the incident that matched later what she told The Guardian. So let me just kind of yes, I think that's called sexual assault, anonymous, and absolutely right. But as I said, the story seems to match up, goes back 20 plus years, there's corroboration, and that's what we know. So let me give you more details about the time and place. Now, on Friday, September 5th, Doris said her boyfriend, Jason Bin, took her to meet Trump at his office in Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan before they went to the U.S. Open in Queens. Doris said of Trump, quote, he came on very strong right away. It seemed typical of a certain guy, people who just feel like they're entitled to do what they want, even though I was there with my boyfriend. Well, those kind of people don't give a damn if you're there with your boyfriend. You just said he's entitled, and that's exactly what that kind of person is. You do remember, by the way, Donald Trump getting caught on tape saying, when you're a star, they let you do anything, and then went on to brag about grabbing women by the genitalia. So that's on tape, and that is that exact mindset. Now, the couple, she continues, said, were joined by other friends of Trump in his private VIP box, a luxury carpeted suite that had a balcony overlooking the court. Photos from the day showed Doris alongside with Trump and his friend Mary Lou Whitney. Doris said the alleged assault occurred when she got to go to the bathroom in order to fix her contacts, which was hidden behind a partition just meters from where Trump's guests were watching the tennis. She said, I was having issues with my contact lenses. I remember going there to moisten my lens. So there's detail. When she came out of the bathroom, she alleges Trump was waiting outside. Initially, I thought he was waiting to go to the bathroom, but that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, she said she alleges that Trump forced himself on her after a brief exchange in which she recalled nervously laughing and telling him, "No, get away." She alleged that she told Trump, "No, please stop," but that he didn't care. "It doesn't matter who you are," she said. "Anytime anyone says no, no means no. And that just didn't work out for me. It wasn't enough." She also says, "I was kind of in shock. I felt violated, obviously, but I still wasn't processing it. And it just wasn't, just was trying to go back to talking to everyone and having a good time because, I don't know, I felt pressured to be that way." Now, Doris, she said she cannot recall if she told Jason Bin, her boyfriend at the time, the full details of the assault. But she says she asked him to tell Trump to leave her alone. She said she told Bin, quote, "He's all over me. I can't deal with this. You have to do something." Now, Bin did not respond to a request for comment. According to Trump's lawyers, Bin told them he had no recollection of Doris telling him that anything inappropriate had happened with Trump or that she felt uncomfortable around him. So, Bin, look, he, I guess, is not corroborating this at this point. So now, after the alleged incident, they continued to be around each other. And he, according to her, allegedly kept hitting on her, but not attempted to assault her after the one time. So now the question is, why then would she continue to be around him if she felt uncomfortable, if this had happened? Well, they asked her. Here's what Doris said. Quote, "I was there from Florida, and I was with Jason. I had no money, nowhere to go. We were going from event to event, and it was just overwhelming." She also said that after it happened, that she did not fully process what had happened until later. Quote, "People spend years around people who have abused them. That's what happens when something traumatic happens. You freeze." So, look, this is anecdotal, right? But, look, I've known and talked to women personally who have confided in me and have said something similar, right? That they suffered some sort of, abuse, sexual abuse, but didn't really process it until after that they were out of the situation, right? Even though at the time they knew it was bad, the full realization hadn't really hit them, okay? And it's one of those things where you're kind of shocked, you don't know what to do. And again, I know that's anecdotal, but I felt like it's sort of relevant to mention, right? Because it's one of those things where I think you kind of can't believe that it happened, and you kind of want to push it away, push it out of your mind, and not kind of deal with the implications of what had just happened. And so it's, very psychological, right? And very difficult, like I said, to deal with. And sometimes it takes people a long time to fully process and go through the emotions of what had actually happened. And so now, that said, a common question that's going to come up: why didn't she say anything before now? Why now? Why several months before an election, right? Again, that's the question she's getting bombarded with. Now, she did say that she had considered speaking publicly about it back in 2016 when other women had made public accusations against Donald Trump before he became president. She decided against coming forward because she thought, well, look, what effect is it going to have on my family? Okay, well, that is an interesting consideration, right? And we've seen what happens when women come out and they challenge powerful men. For example, Christine Blasey Ford, when she challenged Brett Kavanaugh, who is now a Supreme Court justice. She was, of course, stalked, threatened, slammed in the media, attacked. Then you also had Tara Reade when she made allegations against Joe Biden. You had a lot of backlash on that, a lot of personal attacks, hate mail, rape threats, death threats, you name it. And of course, the many women making allegations against Donald Trump. And so that happens. And that is a consideration that a lot of people have in mind. What is the backlash going to be when I come out? Especially, who's going to try to dig into my past to try to discredit me as a person and go after me as a person for making these allegations. And so, look, women do get vilified greatly And it seems like the more powerful the person, the more they get vilified for coming out. And so these political operatives, they'll go and they'll dig through and their past and make them look crazy or vindictive or accuse them of being political operatives themselves. And so, I mean, there was those considerations, and it happens. As for Doris, she said, finally, the reason that she came forward is because she wanted to set a good example for her two daughters. Quote, I feel like my girls are about to turn 13, and I want them to know that you don't let anybody do anything to you that you don't want. I'd rather be a role model. I want them to see that I didn't stay quiet, that I stood up to somebody who did something that was unacceptable. Now back to the boyfriend. As I said, Jason Bin did not respond to a request. According to Trump's lawyers, Bin told him that he had no recollection. I think I mentioned that already. And so there's that. Now, Doris did say that after the alleged incident, she phoned a friend who lived in the city and told them what had happened. Quote, I think I just felt safe knowing that I had someone in New York that I could go to. God forbid it got worse. Lawyers for Trump said Doris's versions do not stand up to scrutiny and that there hadn't been any inappropriate behavior by Trump outside of the bathroom within the VIP box. And if there were, there would have been numerous witnesses. Trump's lawyers also said that it seemed incredible that Doris would voluntarily choose to be in the vicinity of Trump at the U.S. Open and the Versace Memorial in the days following that alleged assault. They said Bin had raised similar questions about her account. Trump's lawyers also questioned why Doris sat next to Trump at the Versace Memorial when she could have sat at the other side of Bin. So, I mean, those are questions. Those are interesting questions. Some of which were, again, answered by Doris. I guess it's really up to you whether or not you accept those questions. Now, what's interesting is how this came about, right? How did The Guardian hear about this? Well, not from Doris herself. Actually, The Guardian first heard about it, and I think this adds credibility. They heard about Doris's accusations against Trump via a model agent that Doris had worked with in Chicago. Doris had told this person about it several years ago, many years ago, and then that person had told The Guardian. So now they then followed up with her about 15 months ago. So this was quite a while, right? She told the story to The Guardian, but said, look, I don't know if I really want to go public. I just don't. I don't want to go public. I don't want to do any of this. But then she said she thought it over for quite some time and finally said, because of my family situation, I wanted to be a good role model for my family. And so there it is. She also said that she was frustrated to hear that Donald Trump's many other accusers being accused of lying. Quote, I'm sick of him getting away with this. I'm tired of being quiet. It's kind of cathartic. I just want to get this out. And I want people to know that this is the man. This is our president. This is the kind of thing he does. And it's unacceptable. Well, look, on any of those things, yes, we all kind of knew, right? Look, Donald Trump's got a mountain of complaints, right? There's a mountain of complaints. There's tapes. There's evidence, at least of a man who thinks he can do whatever you want, and that includes people's bodies, women's bodies specifically, and not suffer any consequence. Again, he's Teflon Don, right? All these allegations, they just never stick. And now, as far as whether or not I believe her, look, let me just say this, right? Why would somebody invite all the negative attention that coming out and attacking a powerful person for no gain, right? She's not going to gain personally from this, as far as I know, right? So why would somebody make up something to get all of that negative attention, the death threats, the rape threats, the stalkers? Again, go back to, talk about Christine Blasey Ford, right? And what happened with her. Why do all that stuff for a fake story? It wouldn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Going through all of that, right? It's really difficult to challenge powerful people. And so that idea kind of lends credibility to the allegations, as well as the sheer number of allegations that have already come out against Donald Trump by numerous women telling the same kind of story, right? Numerous people, Hollywood actresses. Of course, you also have the Stormy Daniels stuff, which is a different kind of story, but at the same time, there's some criminal stuff involved, right? And so, look, I also know, by the way, that not every allegation is true. But I do think Trump is definitely capable of these things because it's been shown that this is who he is. But I also think that this is not going to change anybody's mind as well. So for those of you saying, well, it's just a political thing, right? Well, whose mind is it going to change? No, it's not going to change anybody's mind. You either know who Donald Trump is or you don't. Or, you believe him. And by the way, there are some that will continue to support him, not in spite of this, but I think because of this kind of thing. Understand that there's some pretty bad people out there. There are people that would probably admit that if they had the same power to be able to do this stuff and not get caught and not get punished, then they'd do it. There are those people like that out there. I think this is who they are. And so I think that they idolize Donald Trump because he's everything that they want to be and gets away with pretty much everything they can. So, no, I don't think this is going to affect the election at all. Because, look, if all the other stuff didn't really affect your vote before, didn't change your mind, then one more allegation on top of all the other numerous allegations is not going to do it. It's not going to matter to you.